Session is live now. Dr. Rajni, you may go ahead.
Should we start? There are only 76 participants. Very good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Dr. Rajni Gautam, from School of Basic and Applied Sciences, KR Mangalam University, welcome you all to the 6th day of the 7 days online FTP on new reforms in higher education system with reference to NEP 2020. This FTP is organized by IQAC, School of Basic and Applied Sciences and School of Education, KR Mangalam University, in collaboration with Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Delhi NCR chapter. The topic for today's talk is vocationalization in higher education. As we all know, India is the second most populous country in the world, and there is a good probability that in near future we may become number one in the population. Also, India has the largest youth population in the world. Around 66% of the total population is below the age of 35. So in terms of manpower, we are the richest country. The average youth unemployment rate from 2018 to 2021 is 23.74% as per the periodic labor force survey, which covered all the states. As of December 2021, 1 in 5 college graduates are unemployed. Thus, as of December 2021, 1 in 5 college graduates are unemployed. Thus, there is a strong need to address this problem, and one possible solution is the vocational training, as the root cause of unemployment is the mismatch of skills with the industry needs. The vocational education is designed to impart practical knowledge of industry-specific skills in order to make students work ready upon completing their education. In India, vocational education is generally offered at senior secondary level, but NEP 2020 has realized the importance of vocational training in higher education also. According to NEP 2020, by 2025, at least 50% of the learners shall have vocational exposure through school and higher education. Every child is supposed to learn at least one vocation and be exposed to several more. To elaborate more on vocationalization in higher education with reference to NEP 2020, today we are having Dr. Arti Kachroo ma'am. On behalf of organizing committee, I extend a warm welcome to Arti ma'am. Dr. Arti Kachroo is presently serving as Dean, School of Education, Sharda University, Greater Noida, UP. She is a doctorate in education from Jamia Millia Islamia, where she received a fellowship from ICSSR for her research work on mentor relationship and talent development. She specializes in the field of educational psychology and pedagogy of language teaching. Her work experience spans across a time period of 3 decades, with her professional roles encompassing both teaching positions as well as administrative posts. She was appointed as the chairperson of the KV Sangathan Interview Committee on numerous occasions and is also a visiting team member of the NCTE. She has authored many books under the broad domain of education. Her research publications can be found in the national and international journals of repute. Along with earning various academic accolades, she is actively working with various NGOs for the education of children belonging to marginalized sections of the society. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Rajni. Thanks a lot. Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
I take it, it's a sense of a deja vu for me. Like addressing the audiences, Mangalam is just a second home, I should say. And when I was invited, it was with that sense of belongingness to the university that made me to, or rather compelled me uh, to join you on this program. So I am remembering all my sitting where I was sitting, seeing you, Tanya ma'am, I was sitting at the same place. Hopefully that place has not changed. And so it's again a second homecoming. I wish it could have been in person, so that memories would have been lived again. Okay, fine. Sometimes sooner or later we can meet anywhere. The world is so small and the community we are in is very small. So I would like to formally, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Tanya Gupta ma'am, IQAC Cell, Dean School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Dr. Meena Bandari. I was listening to her on Saturday and just remembering her. Dr. Sanjay and Council for Teacher Education Foundation, NCR chapter, Delhi NCR chapter. So we are at this pertinent moment here in these times. These times are very special times, and I'm sure that all of us are really happy to be in these times. Though there are many changes, there are policy revisions, there are reforms that are going to happen, and right now we may not be seeing any fruitful outcome of these things, but we are at a time when these things are happening around. We saw the last policy of education that was in 1986, and it took the government or the stakeholders to wake up them from the slumber, deep slumber, 36 and odd years to come to these times and to give us this new policy of education. We are at the cusp of many changes, industrial changes, technological changes, societal changes. There are many changes that are going in every domain, in every sphere. And personally, I'm very happy to be in this time zone, in this time space, so that I can witness what is happening on, and I can also critically, as thinking, and we all can critically comment upon or reflect upon, is it going to lead us somewhere? Can it be another draft or a policy as we have seen in different commissions or not? So we can see the road ahead and we can comment and reflect upon what is happening. So we are into the second year of new educational policy. As Dr. Sanjay yesterday said, COVID and educational policy were going together hand in hand, and surely, yes. And this education policy through the digital medium, we saw many things happening, webinars, conferences, seminars, and it would not have been possible without digital technology. Having said that, progress in digital technology is okay. Progress in knowledge creation, knowledge dissemination is okay. But we are on the verge of the economy that is not doing very well. As you know, that these days even our economy is not doing well. There are economic concerns. There is inflation. There are many economic challenges that are happening this time in the country. And what pertinent time than this to have this beautiful FDP on NEP, which suggests a roadmap for revamping, reimagination of education for future days to come. And particularly my topic, which is vocationalization, which is directly connected with the health of Indian economy, the health of Indian technical education, the health of Indian vocational education, what better a platform to share my ideas. I again thank KR Mangalam and its different stakeholders for inviting me to this FDP. So starting with my, can you see it? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Have you started screen sharing?
Okay, okay. Can you see it now?
Now, yeah.
So the topic that I have been assigned today is vocationalization of higher education. Let's look at these pictures. This is a young girl of 7 or 8 years trying to balance herself on a rope and then a thali and some lotus on her head. Can you see the pictures? Then there is a little boy doing some missionary work, and the third picture, if you see it, this is a boy which is working for a garment, high-end garment factory. And towards the end, there is a quotation from Malcolm X: education is the passport to future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So what are we doing with these kids? Isn't it a question of thought? Firstly, like this is unethical, this is illegal, this is immoral. Because children are their space, the children have their space in schools, the children have their space in educational institutions where they learn. This is really illegal. But leave aside legality and morality. What are we doing with this? The child in the first slide, the first picture, she is so apt in her training. She is so perfect in her training. She is so balanced in her training. Look at her, how she balances everything. It needs a fine caliber. It needs fine balancing. It needs presence of mind. It needs certain skills. And if this girl's, that is why I have kept the heading untapped skills. These are the skills that this girl has. But after 10 years, 15 years, this girl will be ending up with some, not doing this as she grows up, but looking after the family, caring for, or as a daily wage laborer in any marketplace. Does it send some signals with what is happening with our education? Had this girl been tapped, similarly, this boy who is doing a masonry work and this boy who is doing a work at a high-end fashion store. This is the picture that the Guardian English daily newspaper, which is published in US. I have taken this picture from that, and it had published a story about these young children from the legal perspective, no doubt, who are working for high-end market stores. So aren't they skilled? What do they need? And if we keep them like that, their skill will not be upgraded. Their skill will not be enhanced, and they will be poorly paid. And is this the passport to their future? No. Because we are not preparing, we as a community are not preparing, tapping these skills. Education is not looking into these skills. Let's move further. So the skilling the chained hands. We are chaining these two. And this is metaphorically. This is just, I have used it as a metaphor. We have chained them, even if they are in schools, even if they are in the process of education. But we have chained these hands. These hands are not ordinary hands. These hands could have done wonders. And we have chained them, even if they are in the process of education, we have chained them in rigid, unflexible, not a curriculum which may not be suited to their talents, interests, aptitudes. We have, even if they are in the school system, we have changed them. Now, there are certain observations from different print media. What do these observations say? This is Kashmir's art and craft faces existential threat. Golden hands that would create artistic wonders are turning rusted as there's nothing to do. However, authorities are optimistic that handicrafts and handloom policy 2020 has a promise for all artisans. This is Kashmir Images, October 18 to 2021, less than a year. And I am witness to it, how Kashmiri craft, Kashmiri local culture, Kashmiri artistic workers, because I belong to that place, is dying. Kashmiri carpets, there are no takers for weaving Kashmiri carpets. There are no takers for many takers. There might be few takers, but there are not many takers for the people who can embroider beautiful Pashmina shawls. There are not many takers for as a vocation who would be for people who would be engaged in paper mache, who would be involved in wood carving, who would be involved. Kashmir is full of these small scale industries, low cost industries, wherein these artisans do beautiful work. And if this gets exported, or if it's sold here in India also, it is an exorbitant, it sells for an exorbitant amount. But why aren't still there no takers for all these things? The second observation, this is March 15, Economic Times, 2022. Skill Ministry pulled up over vacancies in ITIs, inadequate use of budgetary resources. According to the committee, out of existing 22,75,439 seats across all IITs in 36 states, they are lying vacant. I will not, you can read it. This is as latest as March 15, 2022. So that means IITs were set up for upgrading the skills, for imparting the skills, for different vocations, for different works, sort of a semi-skill type of work with less emphasis on theory and theoretical knowledge. So again, the seats are lying vacant. Yesterday I had to call a washing machine mechanic to my home to fix my washing machine, and unfortunately he has been coming for 3 times, and in the 3 times in a week, and he still couldn't fix it. This is my personal experience I'm trying to share with you. It was as recent as yesterday. So I asked him, why is it taking so much of time for you to fix my washing machine? Because this vocationalization was at the back of my mind. And then I asked him, have you been trained for it? He said, yes. I said, where? He said, in ITI. And then I asked him, if you have been trained, if you have been taught, why aren't you able to fix my machine? He said, मैडम क्या करें, हमें तो थ्योरी पढ़ाई गई है, स्किल पे कोई जोर नहीं दिया गया, हमने तो जो कुछ सीखा है वो खुद हमने सीखा. This was his reply, so that I could understand where is the gap. Now, not only in ITIs, even in the institutions of higher learning and excellent institutions all over the country, we have some 10,780 seats lying vacant. And this was to a question which was asked in Rajya Sabha, and this is published on Feb 10, 2022. So there is provision, there are budgets. What are these observations telling us? That there is a gap between what we are planning and what is actually on the ground. Why aren't there takers? Again, a report that was recently published in a newspaper article, around 23% of the seats in SC and ST categories, if they have been filled, the students could not pass and they remain vacant for again 3 years. So there is something wrong in the system. We are having budget, we are having allocations, we are setting day in and day out new IITians and new IITs and new IITs, IIMs. But in spite of these, we have not upgraded on our skills of our citizens. We are not doing much in terms of upgradation of skills, skill development, and also not doing much in terms of higher education. That is why we are lagging somewhere. So what is vocation? So in order, leaving aside, let me come to this, leaving aside higher education, these two observations tell us that there is something wrong with our vocational education. So before seeing what is wrong in it, let's see what is vocational education. Again, it's learning, it's a training, it's an education, it's a knowledge about skill upgradation, skill development, upskilling, updating oneself on skills, acquiring new skills. It's a sort of ultimately an ability that an individual has when he undergoes this vocational education. And this, the focus is not on knowledge, the focus is on skill development and getting empowered through skills. So that is all. New education policy also says that we have to move from this theoretical education to skill-based education. Maybe the education policy has taken a leaf from Nai Talim of Gandhi ji, where he emphasized on head, hand and heart, 3 H's, head, hand and heart training. So we have to have dexterity of hand, we have to be mental abilities of head, and we have to have an attitude or the interest for this vocational education, so that we can bridge the gap on the ground and what is in our policy documents. So what is this vocational education? Let's try to understand what is this vocational education. So it's an education that prepares people for sort of a skilled craft, as in case of carpets, as in case of shawls, as in case of paintings. I have some data where there are 10 most dying arts which are dying in India in terms of paintings, meenakari, in terms of jewelry. I think if there are most of the ladies who are here in the session, meenakari is a form of jewelry which was very prominent maybe 3 or 4 decades back. Now it's dying down. Tanjore paintings, they are dying down. There is a art form which is made from castor seeds, that is dying down. The carpet industry is dying down. It's maybe one of the reason is that this automation, computerization, this has come in, and the artisans are not able to match their capabilities and precisions with the machines, and that may be one of the reasons. But the most prominent reason is that these arts, these crafts have not been given due emphasis. If you go to West, and if you are going to purchase a cardigan for yourself, the machine-made cardigan costs less, while a handmade cardigan costs more. Why? And if you call a plumber to fix your tap, he will charge you at least, this is a recent example, $100 to $150 to fix that tap. So $100 to $150 is equivalent to, with a rupee devaluing, it's almost 8,000 plus for 1 hour. So where do we stand? What do we pay to our artisans? How do we revive their economy? How can their ends be met? You ask any artisan, it's very difficult for him to meet the concerns of bread and butter. So given these, and most important, these are dying down as our languages are dying down. Most of our languages are dying down here in India. Similarly, our arts and crafts are also dying down. And so these, in order to promote, in order to keep these crafts alive through vocational education, let's see what is vocational education. These are skill-based programs which focus on specific trades, or they impart practical skills, and which engage the individual in specific occupational activity. I can quote you the example of my home state, that is Jammu and Kashmir, where generation after generation people used to weave carpets in their homes, where generation after generation people used to embroider shawls and weave pashmina, which is now not available. That form of pashmina is not available because there are not weavers, and if at all there are weavers, they are not being paid that much. So in order to revive this vocational education and training, it comes handy as a tool wherein we can promote these skill-based activities. These skill-based activities focus not on theory, not on as a program BA in vocational education, and includes everything and has nothing in it, but it has certain specific traits, which, and that too hands-on, practical, wherein these skills are get imbibed by the young generation, either in the family or outside the family. Have you seen some time back, now that with the child labor not being allowed here in the country, some time back, if you remember, maybe you are very young than me, but there are still certain instances. There used to be every chotu on a tea shop, isn't it? Chotu glass do ke la, chotu chai leke ja, chotu wo kar, till and chotu used to work. For a cycle repair mechanic, there always used to be a chotu, isn't it? Have you seen those instances? I hope you must have seen. So what was this? What was the role of this chotu, and why did people keep these small young boys in their shops? Firstly, of course, like they would not be demanding too much of money. Secondly, that they would get trained under the master craftsman or apprentice. This was a sort of an apprenticeship training till the time this chotu would acquire all the skill and become independent on his own, isn't it? This happened, and this is happening also in villages or tier 2 states or tier 3 states. It's happening. So this was an apprenticeship, an informal sort of an vocational training that was offered to these people, young children, so that they can be adapt in particular skills, and where after mastering those skills, they could take up these as a vocation and employ themselves for self-employment or employ others. This was sort of an unorganized sector, not an organized sector, but unorganized sector, and this happened. But as the reforms in education were introduced, it was felt that we should have a specific career and technical education, that is referred to as CTEF, and this in our schools, though on papers, would happen in post-secondary schools or secondary schools. Whatever it was sometimes called as socially useful productive work, or by some other name. So this was the scene, what was happening. Then now we are, if you hear these political leaders lecturing, they say India is becoming a 5 trillion economy. How come India will become a 5 trillion economy if half of its almost half of its population in the ages of 15 to 29 are not finding suitable employment. How can they become? So this is the observation from Pradeep Kotamaraju, who is Deputy Director, Research Policy and Legislation, California, but he gives inputs to the government also. So he says that we are at the cusp of becoming economic power, but we are the 5th largest economy in the world, no doubt. But look at the people who are not educated, who are semi-skilled, who do not earn what they deserve, who do not have better employment opportunities. They also contribute a lot to national economy and national development. But if at all we cater to them, we will be not the first, but I'm sure the 2nd largest economy of the world. And as Pradeep Kotamaraju says, India is at the cusp of becoming an economic powerhouse. For that to happen, however, the country needs to alter its workforce education by re-engineering Indian vocational education training system. We have to re-engineer it. We have to reimagine it. We have to revamp it. Though it has been formally introduced in our curriculum long back, but it's not serving any purpose. I gave you the example. There are so many skilled workers who have received the training also, but they are not able to utilize. They are not properly skilled. You ask any technician, any electrician, out of 5 electricians, you find only 1 good electrician. This is my general observation. This is not a research data. You call plumbers, you call electricians, you call any skilled worker who has received the training, but still he is not properly skilled. The reason is, again, they have not been given hands-on. The curriculum is so flexible, so rigid. There are many other reasons. We will go into detail. The second observation by Pradeep is India's vocational education strategy includes creating basic work-centered common curriculum for unskilled, developing a more flexible and responsive vocational educational system that effectively educates and trains many more of the semi-skilled, and raising the competencies of the skilled worker to international levels by using, for example, public-private partnership. So he says we are imparting education, but the education that we impart regarding vocational education is not, it's rigid, curriculum is not updated. There is a mismatch what industry wants and what we provide. And as I said that socially useful productive work in schools, most of the time there was these batik classes going on or candle making in my career. Like I have seen not going in much, or television maintenance, radio maintenance, all these things. And even after they received this vocational education, this was not a specialized field. This was one of the subjects among many other subjects. The basic focus was education, not on these skills. Even these ITIs could not provide that focus. Now, as recent as a few months back, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, ramping up skills, particularly in trades, through vocational education has emerged as a recurrent and increasingly critical priority for India. Yeah, this is priority. We are not doing well on the front of economy. We are not doing well because this is all being seen from the prism of economy. Education, this vocational education is being seen from the prism of demographic dividend and the economy. We have in numbers, we have a huge population. We are number 1 in the world who has the youngest population. But still we cannot convert this youngest population into upskilling their skills in particular crafts. As I said, 10 to 15 have been listed by Government of India, the crafts that are dying down. If these crafts are dying down, what has the government done, or what have the stakeholders done, or where is their private and public partnership to upskill, to upgrade these crafts? So further, he says, hence, education ecosystem needs to offer skills in educational institutions that touch various crucial aspects of holistic education and overcome the social status hierarchy, which is associated with vocational education. Why isn't this a vocational education picking up? Because there is a typical mindset. India is an aspirational society. Every mother, every father thinks that my child should do best in academics, even if he can earn best in with the skill, with his vocational education. But the focus is either an engineer or a doctor, or teachers are we are lower on that ladder, or a lawyer or a management graduate. These are the folks. Every aspirational parent seeks these employments for his child. Why? Because the societal mindset is like that. The society does not view these vocational or skill subjects with the same lens as they view other subjects. So the whole mindset has to be changed in terms of our attitude, in terms of our wages, in terms of the recognition that these courses get. Then only this will be successful. So a brief thing about this. In India, we are using vocational education and vocational training interchangeably. There is a difference between the two. Vocational education is usually starts after secondary school level, which I told you is an obsolete model. In maybe in somewhere it starts from 8th or 9th or 10th. This is a model which has not worked well with the state of our skill education. And again, in this model, now they have introduced different vocational courses in the discipline of agriculture, in the discipline of business, in the discipline of commerce, technology, health, paramedical, home science, humanities, science, and education. As I've said, you do not find any mention of any art form here. It is same old subjects of business, commerce, engineering, technology. I don't say that they are not important, but the society needs other things to have a holistic vision of education, to have those dying art forms, to have those skills which are missing from our curriculum, which are missing from our education. NEP also stresses that we must revisit our roots. We must see what was there in our old ancient education in terms of not only knowledge, not only literature, in terms of crafts also. We are again seeing that these are major disciplines where vocational education was provided. Now, this is vocational education. What is and it falls under the ambit of formal schooling or formal education. On the other hand, we have vocational training, and this is outside the school. This is provided by maybe IITs and ITCs, polytechnics. This is if the child, still now, if the child doesn't do academically well, he's being sent to ITR. He is being sent to these vocational education. No care is being seen if the child is really well in some of the skills. He is not being sent there because the priority is to get academic education. More than 150 courses and trades are offered both in engineering and non-engineering in these streams. so what do these ITIs and polytechnics do? They offer 3-degree diploma courses in engineering and technology, vocational training. Now, where from this emphasis in new educational policy comes in terms of including vocational education into the mainstream of education. Vocational training is in the concurrent list of Indian Constitution. What does it mean? It means that vocational education is in the state list as well as in the central list. The state can also devise policies for vocational education, do budgetary provisions, have budgetary provisions for vocational education. At the same time, the education as a whole is in the concurrent list. That is why we are having the policies from central government as well as the state government also. Vocational education being a part of bigger domain of education falls again in these two domains, the concurrent list and the state list, and the policies, the schemes, the provisions, the recommendations are also from both these two levels, that is from state as well as the center. But there is a difference between the responsibilities of these two. The central government is primarily responsible for developing training schemes, evaluation of policies, laying down of standards and procedures, conducting examination and certification at national level, and the state government is usually an implementation process, is dealing with the implementation. So we have seen the thrust of vocational education comes from the center, from the bureaucrats who make these policies, who are bereft of the knowledge of what is happening at the ground level. There is the states can do only the implementation, and the center has all the rights for all these policies. So what is this vocational education is sometimes also referred as TVET. So what is this TVET? This TVET stands for skill-based programs that focus on specific trades and impart practical skill which allow individuals to engage in specific occupational activities. This is training for vocational, teaching for vocational education training, TVET, teaching for vocational education training. So earlier it was vocational education, then it became vocational training. Now it is teaching for vocational education and training. So again, this is almost the same, but the nomenclature has changed. Again, this is the skill-based program which focus on specific trades and they impart hands-on practical skills, whereby after having this training, after having this education, an individual can take up this specific occupation. In India, TVT programs are aimed at creating employment opportunities, imparting suitable skills needed for self-employment, particularly in rural and unorganized backgrounds. That is what I was focusing on. Herein comes our heritage, herein comes our diversity, herein comes our variety, which is the ethos, the essence of an Indian culture. We are so diverse as a nation, not only diverse in terms of geography, in terms of history, in terms of linguistic diversity, in terms of our crafts, in terms of our skills, in terms of our special special things that each state produces. We are so diverse. You go to any store in West, you will find almost 90% of things are same. That are displayed in the store in US or UK or Europe. But if you visit any state here in India, the things that can attract your attention are different. Rajasthan is doing well in puppetry, and puppetry is also, I forgot to mention earlier, it's a dying art. And puppets are so useful in the classes for teaching young children. If this art form is dead, we are just snatching a chance from the students who would be joyful in the classes with those puppets. Puppets are good teaching aid for any teacher, learner, student, and they are not so costly. This is being dying down. So where is vocational education focusing? So every state has its own peculiarity, its own food, its own utensils. In terms of utensils, Muradabad, as I said, in UP, Muradabad is famous for its kansa wala bartan. Ab kahan banta hai? Where do you find this kansa wala bartan? It's now in high-end stores. Fabidia sells it, but at an exorbitant price. It sells, but very exorbitant. Why? Because there is dearth of people who can make it. There is Tanjore painting from South. It's dying. It's not. So that is why they are saying that upskilling, providing opportunities in the sectors which were totally neglected by the vocational education earlier and which are unorganized sectors. You go to Delhi Heart, earlier they used to have these puppets and all that. Now there is hardly any puppet show that is going on. And this government of India has listed as a dime. Skill development in India has attracted much more attention in the past few years, and issues have been on the central policy. So how does UNESCO define it? UNESCO has also come into the picture of defining this TVET, technical and vocational education training, is understood as comprising education, training and skill development relating to a wide range of occupational fields, services and livelihoods. This little girl whose picture I showed you in the beginning, this is a livelihood for her. And if we can get this girl into a skill training institute, she can not only run on ropes, but she would perform at a world level what do you call it, athletic Olympiad. She has those skills. Look at her. So this was a means for livelihood. So UNESCO has also emphasized that we should focus on these wide range of skills, not 150 skills, which are under engineering, management, commerce, agriculture, and no. Besides these skills, I don't want to undermine those things, but besides these skills, there should be wide range of occupational fields, production services, and livelihoods. So what is the purpose of vocational education? Most of things I have deliberated upon, you will see here. The purpose of vocational education needs to change from merely preparing a student to learn a living to a more holistic approach of expressing one's identity, gaining knowledge and skills. That is why I was saying that focusing on our own diversities, focusing on our own regional identities, focusing on our own rich heritage that should be the purpose of vocational education. The integration of vocational education in school needs to be rooted in the present times and how the future is involved. Not only should schools look at the vocational education curriculum in a much theoretical sense, but they should also think that what are our future aspirations in terms of technology, in terms of handicrafts, in terms of agriculture, in terms of many other things, and what is the present reality. We have to match the gap between industry and these vocational skills. It needs to apply an intersectional lens to design and design a meaningful and a relevant curriculum. After NEP 2020, though it has mandated changes, yet we come across these changes in the curriculum. If I'm not wrong, we are still carrying with the old updated curriculum. There was a presentation in our university who had come here to sell his program on value-added courses. And some of us were asked to see the presentation, to see the feasibility of the program. Then he said there is a program on ideation. We all of us said, show us what is in the program. The idea was creating toilets, and this idea was taken, do you know from where? From Lagos, a small country in South Africa, and where they had built in almost 1,000 above toilets. I asked him, do we have to visit ideation for ideas? Do we have to visit Lagos for seeing the toilets? How do these toilets function? Our Swachh Bharat mission, which provided millions of toilets at a very affordable prices, is the best example of incubation and ideation. Then there was a whole lot of argument. I won't go into it. Then still we were not satisfied. He said, I have a psychology course. This is how they sell themselves. Then some of us said, let's see what's there in the course. The course started with introduction of education, and these courses were meant hands-on. The course started with introduction of psychology and all other things, and then they come theories of learning. Dr. Sanjay Kumar and the student and faculty of School of Education will understand it. Theories of learning. Theories of learning. He started classical conditioning. Do you know what is the date of classical condition? Late 1800s. 1897 or 95 is the date of classical condition which Pavlov has used. So I said, why would we take 2 century back course curriculum from you? We are not interested in this course. And ultimately he could not sell his courses because they were so obsolete. So whatever we sell, it's not always new. It's not always novel. And I don't mean to say that we must do away with the old things, but what is new, what is in demand, what does the industry need, what does the society need? We must focus on those things and include in our curriculum. That is why it says it needs to apply an intersectional, at the cross section of many things, at the cross section of society, at the cross section of education, at the cross section of employment, at the cross section of economy, at the cross section of politics. We need to have this curriculum, which would be really productive for our students. This could also work towards creating concerned citizens who could think critically, collaborate, and contribute productively. Yeah, of course, if we do like this, we can contribute. So vocational education here in India at different levels. So we see that 1 to 8 there is elementary education, but there are no specific skills that are learned here. No workers. When the students waste and stagnation, when the students leave them, or they are they discontinue their study. Elementary education doesn't provide them any skills for pursuing their livelihoods for when they grow up. Then 9 to 10 years of age, then we have board exams, vocational, these vocational secondary schools, and after this senior secondary and senior secondary school, there is a diversion which leads to polytechnics, and these polytechnics and ITIs, and there are certain certificate courses wherein these diplomas are given. This is a 2-year diploma, there is a 3-year diploma which is given, which makes them craftsmen. But as again shared my personal example with you, because in these institutes there is no hands-on training. A washing machine mechanic, if he could not fix the washing machine after 3 visits, that means he has not learned much in these techniques. And then after in UG courses, maybe in engineering courses or graduate courses, there are certain advanced training solutions wherein they can be offered the degrees of a technician or engineer technologist. So this was, And of course, doctorate programs wherein we produce scientists. But here in India, again, there is a doubt whether we produce those, we have that type of doctorate programs. UGC is reviewing 10-year-old all the theses, and I don't know what will happen to many of us. So this is how vocational education, World Bank, this is a World Bank report of 2006, how vocational education was conceived here in India. So there is some of the fallacy in this vocational education, that people who are trained in vocational education can only pursue blue collar jobs. They cannot pursue higher order education to access white collar jobs. Yes, there was. It was not a fallacy. It was a truism till NEP 2020 was not on the scene. Technicians, semi-skilled laborers could hardly pursue higher order profession, and there is a mismatch between demand and supply. And the third is that the policy makers do not know much about policy makers, because I said vocational education is in the concurrent and the state list. What is the center's role? The center's role is to promulgate the policies and to provide, to look into what is wrong and to give their recommendation and policies, so that people sitting in armchairs in air-conditioned rooms of say of North Block, they do not have much idea what is needed at the ground level. So again, there is this also has led to what has happened to vocational education in our country. So why vocational education in higher education? I will come to my topic, which, so it was just to build a backdrop to the topic. India's highest demographic dividend. Most of the countries are aging. Europe is aging. Italy, Britain, France, everybody is aging. China is aging, where we have huge demographic population, but they are aging. So we have a huge demographic dividend, which is 65% of youth is in the working age group. So how would we utilize this 65% of the people in this age group, so as to promote our economy, so as to upgrade our savings and investment? And again, why vocational education? So we want to prepare workers for a decent livelihood. This would definitely improve our human developmental index. As I come, my heart goes out when these little girls on the kids on the street are performing, are rather begging. They are begging for their livelihood. It's not that they don't have the skills, they have the skills, but they don't have agencies that would cater or that would prepare them with these refined skills. So we want to, with this vocationalization, we want to prepare our young generation for a decent, for a respectable, not for begging, but for earning with prestige their livelihood. Number third, meet the employment need of skill. The latest India skill report indicates that only about 47% coming out of educational institutions are employable. That we know very much. And in the engineering graduate, after spending 4 years in engineering, he is not employable. A medicine graduate, after spending 5 years and a huge amount of money, if he does from some beta institution, he or she is employable for 10 or 20,000 rupees. So what are we doing in our institutions of higher education? We hardly make them employable. After all, education has many other purposes, but generating and respectable employment is also a purpose of education. So if after burning our parents' money or taking huge amounts of loans for our to be spent on our children, if they are not employable at the end of 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. So it's a hard reality that should shake us up early, every morning, every day and night in the morning. Not only here in India, I have seen people sending their children from India to the remotest corner of China, where they can earn their graduate or medicine. To Uzbekistan and Ukraine, we have seen how our students were there stranded, and thank God to the government of India that they were safe. Unfortunately, we lost a life, and we lost a life because we could not, our societal mindset is such that we think that only these white collar jobs are good jobs, otherwise all the jobs are not good jobs. This is the byproduct of our society. So this is the employability. We are talking of 3 trillion, 5 trillion. There are debates in Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. But what is the ground reality? If our students are not employable, if we do not give them that education, quality education, or education that can help them to earn a decent living, what will be the fate of our students and the fate of our economy? Then boost to small and medium enterprise, as I have been deliberated upon. For make in India, it gives an opportunities for MNCs to come to India. Fine. Make in India, stand up India. We have all, this is all sloganeering that was happening at the ground level. We are not seeing many of the companies, international companies, coming to India. Even though we have a large workforce, even though we are so low paid wages are being paid here in comparison to a UK, to a Germany or a US, still the companies are not coming here. Why? We have the workforce, but they are not skilled. TCS, the mass recruitment of engineering students, he takes from every college 40 students, 50 students, then devotes almost a year on them, and in terms of money, in terms of time, to reskill and upskill them. So what do we know? That should we say that this child has wasted 4 years of engineering in an engineering college? Should not he be going to some other meaningful vocation or an occupation? And the export of skilled workers to aging developing countries. As I said, India is the only country where we have such a huge demographic dividend of almost 65% in the age group of 15 to 29. But why isn't our youth finding employment in the countries of the world where population has aged, old, where there is an influx, or there are many people who are very old? Why? We are seeing our that too from south going to neighboring countries of Dubai, maybe, and these very close countries. Even Sri Lanka doesn't take our these semi-skilled workers. They go to these oil producing countries where they are being paid reasonably. I have not seen in US there is a lot of influx of labor forces from Mexico, where they are paid as exorbitantly, as I said, $100 to $150. But here in India, even if we have this demographic dividend, we could have easily sent this sort of a population to other countries where they don't have this population, or they don't have these skilled workers. But we are not, you see, in terms of our immigration policy, in terms of our, again, the state of education, we are very much lagging behind. There is a study titled Global Talent Crunch, highlighted in India would have a talent surplus around 245 million by 2030. It will be a surplus only when education, good education, holistic education, meaningful vocation is being provided to them. And they say Asia Pacific regions would face a talent deficit of 47 million. In terms of future projection, if this is the data of a global agency that says by 2030, we must, the whole of neighboring countries of Asia Pacific will be facing an employment crunch. So shouldn't we prepare, isn't it a high time to prepare our students for this upcoming opportunity, upcoming opening for these type of jobs, for these type of skills? So again, as I said, the status of vocational in India is not very rosy. It has its own thorns. If we see, only 2% of the total population from 15 to 29 years of age have received formal vocational training. Only 2%. And 8% have taken non-formal vocational education. That means our majority of the population in this group hasn't had any meaningful education in terms of vocational education, in terms of vocationalization, in terms of upgrading of their skills. And this is, after this government came, these 5-year plans were wound up, but the last was the 12th 5-year plan, which stated that fewer than 5% of Indian workforce between age of 19 to 24 received formal vocational education. Again, the data, as you saw, is not, it's hardly encouraged. And 75th round of National Sample Surveys said 24% of students from rural Indias are enrolled in industrial training institutes or any other vocation. However, only 8.3% of enrolled in any vocational training. Only 15.3% of population enrolled in vocational training institutes. So again, the data is abysmal. It's not at all encouraging. So what are the basic facts that we see? No doubt there has been policies, the commissions, and government has put in a lot of effort to upgrade the vocational skill. But after so many years, after 75 years of independence, what are the face effects? Only 2% people have formal training, 8 have acquired non-formal vocational education among the ages of 50. This is the Government of India report. There are 13,353 ITIs across country, of which 11,000 are private. Private-public partnership has come there. But what are these ITIs doing? We have seen in our previous slide that many of the seats, in thousands, the seats have remained vacant. New entrants to workforce every year is 12.8 million. Existing skill development capacity is 3.1 million. So we have to really match with the workforce and capacity of our existing skill. In a span of 60 years until 2007, 186 public and 2,000 private IITs were set up. However, in a period of 10 years from 2017, more than 9,000 additional private ITIs were accredited. So we can have a fair idea that the government is pumping in money, the government has policies and provision in place, but it is not picking up. So if we look at the existing gap, so how, what is the gap in vocational education training? So there are enrolled is some 8% and out of school vocation is 92%. Even if we have the ITIs, we have the institution, we have the policies, but what makes them not to go in these colleges and institutes? So you can see the huge gap which we can find. So this herein we come with, there might be certain challenges with vocational education in India. So what are these challenges in vocational education. The teachers are not fully skilled to teach the vocational course. Yeah, a BA graduate cannot teach a vocational course. And MA or MSc Physics cannot teach a vocational course. MSc Physics may be good in theories and some practical, some hands-on, but not all the skills can MSc Physics or chemistry or whatever. It's not Rajni is MSc Physics. I'm not, yeah. But the courses are neither well-defined nor properly segregated. Instead, it's taught like any other subject. Skill education needs hands-on, it needs practice, it needs experiential learning, it needs infrastructure. So this is one of the challenges. The curriculum of these courses fragmented and disjoint. As I said earlier, that in my childhood days and recently, this was taken as socially useful productive work, and this socially useful productive work was one of the subjects of many other subjects, and this was चलो ये मजे का सब्जेक्ट है, इसमें कुछ नहीं करना है, ना टेस्ट होगा ना पढ़ाई होगी ना, and they would come up with candle making or no doubt it was a good start, but from there it didn't take up. It should have taken up in some form. It remained at that. Yeah, agriculture की classes होती थी, कोई खुदाई करते थे, planting करते थे. So these very fragmented, not skill based courses, and it was not a usual progression, it was not a gradual progression. जहां से start करते थे वहीं पे 6th में छोटी सी candle बनाते थे, 8th और 9th में scented candle बनाते थे, बस इतना ही था. In terms of as recent as maybe a few years back, it was like this in schools. So kahan se, or they could take any craft activity, but skilling in terms of occupation, skilling in terms of mastery, skilling in terms of specialization was not. There is no proper detailed curriculum, only basic introduction to all vocation courses, which I said, which proves to be ineffective in sparking an interest of vocational education among the students. अगर आपको कैंडल ही बनवानी है, एक अच्छी कैंडल बनाए, कैंडल के साथ और भी कुछ बनाए, इसका अपग्रेडेशन होना चाहिए. There should be some thought given to it. How can we upgrade the skill? नहीं तो आपने उस बच्चे के 4 साल बर्बाद किए जो आपने वोकेशनल या सोशली यूजफुली प्रोडक्टिव वर्क में, जब उसका स्किल अपग्रेडेशन. Suppose the child wants to move out from the school after 10th or 12th. What does he do for a living? Do you think this candle making of one class would help him in learning? No, he cannot. That is why he goes to some other course. He learns typing again, does invest money, again invest resources and time, resources as a matter of time also. Invest in him, and then hopefully after schooling 2-3 years and he comes with typing, and that too are basic and rudimentary skills. So the crux is the existing system fails to attract the students for taking up the vocational courses. Why does existing system make it difficult for taking these vocational courses? What is it that doesn't encourage students and parents as a society to take up these courses? What? So this creates a sense of second grade course. Our BA honors is a grade course. BA is still a course, but a course on vocational training is not taken well by the society. It's not given the same prestige. Skills are not given the same prestige. Had it been given, the people would have, or the society as a whole would have taken up. So it's sort of a downgraded or B type of an education, not the rich and enlightened education where it happens. Despite an increase in vocational training institution, the data indicates vocational education is still not particularly preferred choice among the students and parents. कोई नहीं कारपेंट्री करने स्कूल जाता है, कोई नहीं मेसन का काम करने स्कूल जाता है. स्कूल जाता है 10th पास करने, 12th पास करने, and majority of them, majority here in India, in case of India, they want to pursue higher education. Either the parents force them or they are determined to do them because they feel that this will guarantee them a better future, which it doesn't. the fallacy is, or the truth, it doesn't give them a better. After BA, you struggle, चलो B.Ed कर लेते हैं, B.Ed किया तो चलो M.Ed कर लेते हैं, कुछ नहीं या तो PhD कर लेते हैं, still going on struggling. A person pursuing a vocational course is considered inferior to those opting for mainstream higher education. Yeah, it is reality. तभी हम छोटू को छोटू ही कहते, उसको नाम से भी नहीं बुलाते. This is how we stigmatize these young children and young kids and their parents as a society, as we in the profession of academics, or in we are not doing anything different from what has been done. So these are the challenges. That is why this vocational education so far has not picked up, and there are challenges on the demand side and as well as supply side. What is on the demand side? Again, the social mindset, social status. We here in India, everyone and everywhere, everyone is trying to climb the social ladder, a vertical social ladder, and it's everybody's right to climb that social ladder. But we do not, this climbing of the social ladder does not commensurate with his interest, with his attitudes, with whatever he has. It's just a diktat or a dictum for the teachers or from the parents. Then supply side में क्या है? Ineducated logistic में हमारे पास तो है ही नहीं जो hands on training दे सके. हमारे पास वो infrastructure अभी भी नहीं है. That is why a technician does not come out learn from, even from a polytechnic institute. We have not specified who are going to be vocational trainers. What is their what should be their minimal eligibility? Even NCT, National Education, this our apex body, National Council of Teacher Education, it has not come out with the framework for what should be the framework, or what should be the eligibility of vocational educationists in the school. There are no norms for that. ये कौन कराएगा? अगर किसी को पॉटरी सिखानी है, क्या हम पॉटर बाहर से लाए या बच्चों को पॉटरी के पॉटर के पास ले? Where are the modalities? Where is a teacher in pottery? Where is a teacher in calligraphy? Where is a teacher in many other skills? Where is a teacher in painting? Though there are few teachers who are in painting, but these skills who are that are dying down, where are the teachers? What are the modalities? What are the qualification? What is the pay structure? There is a lot of ambiguity even in NEP 2020. Lack of weightage given to the students from this stream admission to higher education. Since it was one of its subject, since it was not properly intertwined in the curriculum, interwoven in the curriculum, BA pass course can get an admission in higher education, but a student from Polytechnic, ITI, can he get to higher education? No, the doors are closed. He has to again go for a BA degree after +2, go for open school, open university, and then do it here. Where is the seamless flow from one domain to another? It's not even, though the NEP has tried to address it, but I think it will still take a long time. So budgetary allocation, even though we have a huge budget for this vocational education, so approximately 3,000 crores have been allotted for the skill development in the budget of 2021, which is a significant increase what was in 2015 and 16. But however, given our demographic dividend, this budgetary allocation is not enough. We have to revamp the whole education. We have to have basic infrastructure. We have to have teacher. We have to have teacher training. We have to have many other things which will come under this domain of vocational education. So even if there is a huge, humongous budget, but this budget also proves insufficient. Or although we have seen in my first slide that whatever the budgetary allocations were there, they were not even utilized. Though there was a budget from the government, the budget was not utilized. 31 मार्च में आप देखना, 31 मार्च से पहले गवर्नमेंट के जितने भी फंड्स होते कितने जल्दी से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होते और यूटिलाइज करते. क्यों जी? नया फाइनेंशियल ये ईयर आ जाएगा, हमें purane funds utilized. This is what is happening to our vocational education. We have seen how these budgets are utilized. No doubt we do not have that privilege of having budgets in our private institution. We are a bit constrained, but in terms of university also, because we see university में भी बहुत ज़्यादा resources नहीं generate हो पा रहे हैं आजकल के time में. So budget is a constraint. Even if we at Sharda, you at KR Mangalam would like to take up these small term vocational courses, तो ना तो वहाँ fees generate होगी और ना फिर उससे उतना revenue generate. After all, it is how to survive. These academic institutions have also to survive. So even though there is budget for government, but here in private, we still have to struggle for the budget. Now, there are many in this regime, there has been focus, there has been reimagination, revamping of education as a whole. So under this Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and Skill India mission, we have not have desired impact, though the policies were there, though they were floated. We only 15% enrolled were able to get jobs. Again, ये जो है ये पिछली प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना, it's a 5 years old, maximum 5 years old. So at this time, even if the budgets were there, even if the government initiative was there, but still only 15% were enrolled. 50% of the students.
मैम क्या आपकी वॉइस स्लो आ रही है काफी मैम?
स्लो आ रही है?
अब ठीक है, अब ठीक है,
अब ठीक है,
आप उधर.
Okay. So Skill India mission aimed to reach out to 300 million youths by 2022. But by the end of 2022, and they had trained only a few by 2018. So अगर हमारा 22 पे 300 million है, हमारे तो अभी 2% 3% पे ही गाड़ी अटकी हुई है. Where are we in terms of our vocational education? So as I said, there were always policies, always commissions which tried their best or which did their best for introducing these vocational educational courses or policies or recommendation, but they didn't. The first came in 1945 and then 50, and it went on. And the last was 1966 Kothari Commission document, wherein it was emphasized. This is a comprehensive document on higher education, on every facet of education, wherein it was emphasized that we have to diversify curriculum at higher secondary levels for the vocational courses. And in 1986 National Policy of Education, it was a focus on improving organization and management structure of vocational education. It was recommended vocationalization both at secondary and higher education level by introducing, as I said, socially useful productive work as a separate subject in secondary classes and vocational degree courses at higher education level. So though an introduction was there, but these courses were rudimentary in nature. These courses were introductory in nature. They never helped to upscale or upgrade the levels. Now, if we see what is the vision of NEP document, now we come to the actual stage of what is the recommendation, or how does NEP see vocational education. So what is the vision of NEP document? It's envisions to build a society with true sense of rights, duties and bonds with country by instilling skills, knowledge and values which reflect as a true global citizen. It does not only emphasize or focus on knowledge. It does not focus on values. It focuses on everything that our heritage has. in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge, in terms of values, in terms of rights, in terms of our duties, in terms of our in terms of a conscious citizenry that we want to promote in students. So this emphasizes a holistic approach to education. How do we do that? We have to build in an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. How can we do that? We have to give due emphasis to different domains of knowledge. We have to make education accessible, affordable to every individual. We have to provide quality of education, high quality of education, which is needed in these times, in these unprecedented times, because these times are not, this is a time or an era which I said earlier also is a fascinating era. Why? Because there is so much happening on every front. There is so much of knowledge explosion. There is so much of technical explosion. There is so much of what is happening at every front. Would you ever think that India would have become a leading producer of vaccines in a short span of 2 years? A country as big as India, there were doubts here also in India that can we vaccinate all our population? We did not only vaccinate our population, we just exported our vaccines to developing countries and to most advanced countries. Pfizer ka jo USA ka vaccine hai, that has less efficacy than our vaccine Kovax. It would become only possible when there was a thrust on innovation, when there was a thrust on creativity, when there was a thrust on thinking differently, and that is that are the indicators of quality education. So NEP envisions India by providing quality education, by orientation towards rights, duties, and values. So we must be aware of our constitutional rights and duties, and we have to have a bond with our country. We have to take pride in our Indic literature and Indic legacy. We have to respect our traditional crafts and traditional vocations. Not only that, not only India-centric, not only Indic, we have to develop citizens who have a global mindset by instilling skills and values in education. So we have to be ready, future-ready citizens coupled with our cultural heritage, historical heritage, and our societal heritage. So what are the principles of NEP? The principle, there are students' holistic development, flexible learning environment, no hard separation between vocational and academic courses. For the first time, NEP has said that there should be no hard separation of vocational and these academic courses. They should merge with each other. One should come from the other. Extensive use of technology, critical and creative thinking, emphasizing and conceptual understanding, respect for diversity and local context that I have been emphasizing through my first slide, that we have to include our local diversity, Indian diversity, diversity of the states, diversity of small towns and villages into our curriculum through pedagogy, through policy. These are the key principles of NEP. So, oh, sorry, I have missed on this slide. So these are the key principle of NEP. So now, how does NEP see vocational education? So this, as we know, is a robust policy. This is a holistic policy. This is a policy that that has garnered a spotlight in many different ways. That is trying to change the structure of school education in India with changing the basic making basic shifts in the school structure in different stages of schooling, and introducing different subjects in different subjects, different skills, and different languages from early on. Coding has been introduced in NAP say that the coding should be introduced from class 6. Skills, various other skills, local skills should also be introduced at the school level, and our languages, Persian, Sanskrit, Pali, Urdu, Arabic, which are not at the verge of, I should not say extinction, but these are not commonly used by all the people in India. They should be revived. So it's a holistic approach, looking towards the future and looking at our tradition, at our culture, and our history and art. So the policy focuses bringing on vocational education into mainstream of education as recommended by successive commission, and again, it has the same focus as other commissions have done. But what is different? It is different that earlier commission had recommended and we didn't see any growth, but this policy has laid down a lot of measures where we can see bringing growth in vocational education being focused. NEP 2020 heralds potential expressive growth of vocational education in the country by bringing all the schools, colleges, and universities in the fold of TVET providers. So everyone, every stakeholder in education, be it primary, be it school level education, be it elementary education, be it secondary or higher secondary or undergraduate, postgraduate education. So vocational education has to be the part of curriculum, not a separate part, not a fragmented part, but very much aligned with the curriculum, a comprehensive part of the curriculum. So we said that there is a difference between demand and supply of vocational education, and we have to mitigate, we have to make this demand and supply of education, vocational education, to bridge the gap. So how can we do that? Or what does NEP suggest? So the NEP says that theoretical part of vocational training is to be discarded. As I said earlier, that it has to be hands-on, it has to be practical, it has to be very, very relevant practicing skills, hands-on skills. And we have to restructure the curriculum also. It has to be more structured, it has to be more emphasized on skill, it has to have relevant pedagogy, it has to have relevant curriculum, and it has to have relevant testing systems. A theory subject cannot test the skill. And what is happening in polytechnics, if there is an examination, they have to write the examination. So how can you test the skill if you are writing the examination? Along with this, NEP emphasizes national skill qualification framework. So for the first time, as NEP says that we can transfer the credit from one theoretical course to another theoretical course. So similarly, if this mission or this framework would help us to move from one course to another, that is how it will get amalgamated in the common curriculum. So national skill qualification framework, as we have teacher education framework, or we have curriculum framework, the NCT has devised, we have nothing, we have no broad structure for this. What kind of skills? What are the relevant skills? What are the latest skills? What skills should be prioritized? How should we do? Who should do it? So nothing has been said about this. So the one proposal was, one provision was to set up National Skill Qualification Framework, NSQF, which was however introduced in 2013, but it was dormant as other policies. Now it has revived. This framework will help the students who are dropouts, who want to pursue some technical skill, who cannot go for higher education, who have certain constraints and challenges, and who want to earn their livelihood in a short span of time with some skill, with some prestige, with some respect. They can use this. So what are the other recommendations? Vocational education will be integrated in educational offerings at all secondary levels in a phased manner over next decade. So this policy doesn't make a hasty recommendation. It has given us 10 years to align the course, to develop the curriculum, to have a comprehensive curriculum framework for skills, to merge these vocational skills in the mainstream of education. It's next 10 years. The development of vocational capacities will go in hand with development of academic and other capacities. To achieve this subject, secondary schools will have to collaborate with technical training institutions, polytechnics, and local industries. So as I said, it was a fragmented, it was a B grade subject in recent times in school. Now NEP focuses that it should be a mainstream subject. It should be aligned with academics. Suppose suppose a student of physics is studying physics as a discipline, as a course in his school education. With that, certain technical skills of maybe how to repair, now radios are not common, how to repair a TV, how to repair a fridge, how to repair a computer, how to repair a hard disk, or many other things can be aligned with the curriculum of the physics. Practicals, as we have physics theory and physics practical. What do we do in the physics practical? We have 4 or 5 experiments, and the student does those 4 or 5 experiments and passes the examination. He doesn't know the relevant theory behind those experiments. He doesn't remember it, or practical is sort of a separate thing from the theory thing. In every curriculum, you see physics theory and physics practical. Why can't be a combined class of physics in which experiments and practicals are taught? Why cannot be this vocational education as a part of any skill aligned with our basic theoretical disciplines, academic disciplines, so that a sense of social stigma, a sense of B grade courses doesn't come to the student. Skill, for that, what do we need to do? Skills lab will have to be set up and created every school in a hub spoke model. What is this hub spoke model? Any idea? So I won't be wasting my time. If you have seen a tire of the cycle or wheel of the cycle, not the tire, the wheel of the cycle, there is a central thing, and then there are the spokes emerging from those things. A big central round around which in center there is a small thing, and out of which the spokes. Even the wheel of a car is somewhat like that. So what is this hub? And we have to make skill hubs. Out of these skill hubs, our students with different training on the vocational skills will come out, and they will directly find their employment, their respect there in the society or in other institutions. So it has to have, how can this happen? This hubs, how are we creating? As I gave you the example of poetry or other arts which are not well defined arts, or which are not taken up in the curriculum, this hub and spoke model will work. The porter comes to the school, the child learns for 3 years, 4 years, or we have trained teachers for this poetry. They learn from this centralized skill hub centers, and they move on to earn their livelihood for their with prestige. And with this, we will overcome the social status hierarchy. तब तो कोई नहीं बोलेगा आपने बी वोकेशनल एजुकेशन किया है, डिप्लोमा वोकेशनल एजुकेशन किया है, आईआईटी से ट्रेनिंग की है, पॉलिटेक्निक से ट्रेनिंग, तब तो यही कहेगा आपका करिकुलम का, आप कोई भी पूछेगा भी नहीं. बट यू विल बी द मास्टर ऑफ वन स्किल and the jack of all papers or the courses and the programs, isn't it? You have in your BA or in your 12th, you have all other programs. With those programs, we have aligned this vocational education, and this will remove the social stigma that has been attached to this vocational education, bringing vocational exposure at early ages. So the NEP has also said that into the school education, we have to introduce this this vocational, so that there is a smooth transition from elementary education to secondary to higher secondary, then to college and university education. हम college में जाके थोप ले कोई नहीं लेगा, हम university पे जाके थोप ले कोई नहीं लेगा. It should be for part of a core curriculum, so that seamlessly the child learns the skills, graduates into their skills to different levels, level of higher secondary, level of graduation, level of post graduation, and comes out as a robust individual who can go into vocational domain also and academics also. Every child will learn at least one vocation and is exposed to several more. This will lead on emphasizing of dignity of labor. जब मैंने कहा NEP might have taken its leave from नई तालीम, head, heart and hand, where head, heart and hand is unison, वहाँ dignity of labor का कोई issue नहीं आ जाएगा, वहाँ social stigma का कोई issue नहीं आए, because we will be attached to our skills. We will not feel a B class student with a B class degree, or we will not have this stigma कि मैंने 2 साल में क्या सीखा. So this will lead to emphasizing the dignity of labor and importance of various vocations involving आर्ट्स एंड आर्टिजनशिप्स. यही मैं कह रही थी मेरे दूसरे तीसरे स्लाइड में. भाई हमारे बहुत से आर्ट फॉर्म्स डाइंग है, हमारी बहुत से चीजें ऑन द वर्ज ऑफ एक्सटेंशन है. आर्ट फॉर्म की तो है ही. हमारी लैंग्वेज अंडमान निकोबार में पिछले साल आई थिंक देयर वाज ओनली 1 मेंबर उस कम्युनिटी का जो वो लैंग्वेज बोल सकता था. लास्ट ईयर पोर फेलो ही डाइड विद द रिजल्ट, उसके साथ उसकी लैंग्वेज भी चली गई. सिमिलरली दिस विल हैपन टू आवर आर्टिजन्स, इंडियन आर्ट जो कि डाइंग डाउन है, जो कि लेबर सेंसिटिव है, जो कि स्किल सेंसिटिव है. और ये डाइंग डाउन आर्ट को रिफॉर्म करने के लिए, उनको revamp करने के लिए we have to integrate it into the regular mainstream course. By 2025, the target has been set by 2025, at least 50% of learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to vocational education, for which a clear live action plan would be laid out. So this is the national education policy has set a goal for itself, for students, for teachers, and laid down the track for treading on the same goal. Then moving forward, no hard separation between arts and science, between curriculum and extracurricular, between vocational and academic streams, in order to eliminate harmful hierarchies and silos between different areas of learning. साइंस के सब्जेक्ट डिफिकल्ट है, उसके बाद कॉमर्स आता है, वो उससे कम डिफिकल्ट है. दिस इज यूजुअल पर्सन. ह्यूमैनिटीज इजी है, 90% तो वैसे ही स्कोर करते हैं. टीचर ट्रेनिंग का कोई फायदा नहीं, जो कुछ नहीं कर सकता तो टीचर ट्रेनिंग ही करता है. और एकेडमिक्स वाले लोग तो कुछ करते नहीं है. और आपने क्या सीखा है 4 साल में, 6 साल में? कुछ नहीं सीखा है. आप तो क्लास में खड़े होने के लायक भी. सो दिस इज what we are producing. Yeah, this is true. We are produced and we have created these hierarchies. पिकासो से बोलो, वो आर्ट फॉर्म करता है. उसकी आर्ट फॉर्म क्या किसी साइंटिस्ट की आर्ट फॉर्म से काम से कम है? आप किसी ह्यूमैनिटीज वाले, लिबरल आर्ट्स वाले देखो, जो डिसिप्लिन, जो थॉट क्रिएट करते हैं, जो फिलोसफीज क्रिएट करते हैं, जो विजडम क्रिएट करते हैं, जो रूल्स रेगुलेशन फॉर ह्यूमन फंक्शनिंग क्रिएट करते हैं, वो किसी साइंटिस्ट से कम है. सो दीज हायरार्कीज आर based on wages. These hierarchies are based on pay parity. These hierarchies are based what we take to home. Artisan doesn't take much. हम जैसे टीचर एजुकेटर भी कुछ ज्यादा नहीं लेते हैं. साइंटिस्ट ज्यादा लेता है, डॉक्टर ज्यादा लेता है. IIT से 2-2 करोड़ की पैकेजेस आती हैं, और बाकी इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज से भी अच्छा पैकेज आता है. BA के बाद क्या होता है? कुछ नहीं मिलता. unless the student has promise. Kuch nahi. So if we prepare these students for these, we have to diffuse these silos, we have to diffuse these compartments. Compartments are we have created. कॉमर्स वाला अच्छा कर सकता है, एमबीए वाला अच्छा। भाई टीचर एजुकेशन में मैं सबको कहती हूँ, हम तो 2-2 एमए करके आते हैं भाई, पीएचडी भी करते हैं, नेट भी करते हैं, तब भी आप कहते हैं अच्छा बीएड छोड़ क्या है बीएड में। हम तो वी आर मोर क्वालिफाइड देन एनी ऑफ आवर काउंटर पार्ट्स, तभी हमें ऐसा करते। व्हाई? बिकॉज द सोसाइटी, टीचर को कोई दर्जा नहीं मिला है सोसाइटी में, और टीचर एजुकेटर्स को तो उससे ज्यादा, और कुछ तो हमारी भी अपनी गलतियां। सो लेट्स नॉट डिबेट ऑन दैट। ए कंसर्टेड नेशनल एफर्ट विल बी मेड टू एंश्योर सेवरल universal access and afford opportunity to all children of the country to obtain quality holistic education, including vocational education from preschool to grade level. So the emphasis is clear cut. From preschool, mind it. It's not even elementary. It's not even primary. It's preschooling. The focus has to start from there. The focus has to start from there, so that why? So that he continues to upgrade, upskill. वो कैंडल जगह नहीं रहता है, या ग्रीटिंग कार्ड बनाने तक नहीं रहता है. So that during his 12 to 14 years of his schooling, he can upgrade himself and take it as a vocation if he wants to leave out, or if he wants to go to higher education in terms of UG and PG, he can take it as a skill also, and as a research-based skill also. Please mind it, research-based skill also, and a skill that can earn him academic benefits. The secondary stage will comprise 4 years of multidisciplinary study, building on the subject or oriented pedagogical and curricular style of the middle stage, but with greater depth, attention to life aspiration. Mark these words: attention to life aspiration, flexibility of student choice. So the policy has emphasized that we are an aspirational society. Our parents are aspirational, society is aspirational, and the individual is also, the child that comes to the fold of schooling is also aspirational. But why this aspiration dies down? This aspiration dies down in the school, in schooling system, in the prevalent educational system, where the focus is on rhetoric information, cramming of information, writing this information on the papers, and achieving the marks and getting the degree. The focus of education is only on getting a degree with a good percentage or a good grade. It's never about learning something worth learning. It's never a holistic type of education where you grow as an individual, where you think as a creative individual. Creativity is crushed in our schools, I must tell it to you. I will quote an example over here. My daughter, who is now big enough, वो स्कूल में गई, उसको टीचर ने बोला, there was a question, what will happen if there is insistent rain or heavy rain downpour? This was the question, class 2 or class 1. So the child writes, she was class 1, or I don't know, not more than class 1. She writes that we will all drown. The teacher puts a big cross and sends a note with the child, please call your parents. So I go there and I say, what is wrong with it? No, we will not. Well, how come? If there is rain for many days, and then there is a cause of drowning. Otherwise, what is the cause of drowning? There is no cause of drowning. So she could not think with the lens of the child. What is the child? फिर मैंने कहा, मैम क्या आंसर होना चाहिए? She could have written about puddles, mosquitoes, malaria, and all that. But she was thinking from her point of view, and my child was thinking for her. But a very reputed school in Delhi, they could not decipher what between right and wrong. Similarly, if the child writes with crayons, he is punished if he forgets to get a pencil. or a pen. If the child thinks how to write my examination paper, I have forgotten a crayon, a pencil or a pen, and he or she innovatively comes and writes with the crayon. Again, the parent is called for that. The teacher doesn't encourage the resourcefulness of that student, a small student who can think out of box, and knowing that that the child will be very cross with her, the teacher will be cross, still writing the paper with that. This is what our education system is doing to our children. हम क्या कहते हैं सबसे पहले, you might have seen in your schools, तो जल्दी से बताऊंगी, lips on your fingers, no noise. Why no noise? Noise has all creativity, noise has all learnings, noise gets you to know so many things. So that is what we have done to this vocational education. No noise about vocational education. Till the vocational education became dead, till we lost our, not only education, till we lost our skills, till we are at the extinction of our skills. So this thankfully NEP has taken down. So students will be given increased flexibility in the choice of subjects, particularly in secondary school, including subjects in physical education, arts and crafts. And see, NEP has regularly emphasized arts, crafts, because these are dying down. They could see the urgency. Integration of vocational education program in the main school education in a phased manner, that Lok Vidya, important vocational knowledge developed in India, will be made accessible to the students by integrating them into vocational courses. The whole focus, emphasis is on our own history, on our own culture, on our own handicraft, on our own skills, and on our own crafts. Vocational education will be integrated in schools and higher education in a phased manner over the next decade. Focus of vocational education will be chosen on skill gap analysis. What does the industry require and what do we have? What is the demand and what is the supply? What are the local opportunities? ये नहीं कि मैं बिहार में कश्मीर की कहानी सुनाऊंगी, वो नहीं चलता. हम एजुकेशन में यही कहते हैं, बिहार में कश्मीर की कहानी सुन, यूपी में मैं असम में उनको लेती हूँ, यूपी की क्रॉप पढ़ाओ ना, यूपी के स्किल्स दो ना, यूपी के जो क्राफ्ट्स हैं उनको करो ना. दैट इज meant by gap analysis and making of local opportunities. Ministry of Health Resource Development, as we know that it has been renamed as Ministry of Education, it has said that we constitute National Committee for Integration of Vocational Education. Such was the need for integrating these things into our curriculum that a separate committee was set up, consisting of experts in vocational education, representatives from different stakeholders, from society, from industry, and from ministries to oversee their contribution. In individual institutions that are early adopters may innovate to find models and practices that will go and share with these institutions and through the mechanism of an NSIVEP, so as to help them extend the reach of vocational education. जो मैंने आपको छोटू वाली बात कही ना, वो with purpose से कही. छोटू वो जो हम मेंटर आज की बात करते हैं, अप्रेंटिसशिप की बात करते हैं, वो डायरेक्टली हैंड्स ऑन अपने मास्टर से सीखता है. उसको कोई छोटू के लिए कोई कोर्स नहीं, कोई करिकुलम नहीं, कोई एग्जामिनेशन नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं. ही वुड ऑब्जर्व. जो हमारी गुरु शिष्य परंपरा थी, जिसका कि अब नया वर्जन मेंटर मेंटी और मेंटर पॉटेजी में निकला है, वो परंपरा में गुरु शिष्य के साथ बैठ के वो सीखता था. अब तो वो गुरु वाले बात नहीं, लेकिन फिर भी ये कह रहे हैं कि मॉडल्स हमें क्रिएट करने हैं, so that we can have these apprenticeship models. ये apprenticeship है. हाथ पकड़ के सर्जरी में सीनियर सर्जन तब तक जूनियर सर्जन को नाइफ नहीं पकड़ने देता है जब तक उसको ना लगे स्किल्ड ना. This is how apprenticeship works. अगर आप इंजीनियर हो, टाटा मोटर्स में जाएं या कहीं भी मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग की फैक्ट्री में जाएं, आपको फ्लोर शॉप तभी मिलेगा जब आपके पास स्किल होगा. लेकिन हम यहाँ क्या देखते हैं, हम स्किल्स की बिना परवाह किए जो जो उसको करता है, जो उसको जैसे लेता है वो करते हैं. डिफरेंट मॉडल्स ऑफ वोकेशनल एजुकेशन एप्रेंटिसशिप विल बी एक्सपेरिमेंटेड बाय रिसर्च होगा. It will not be without research. Incubation centers will be set up in higher education institute with the partnership of industry, which is not happened now. कोई अभी बहुत इनोवेशन सेल्स है, इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स है, बट बहुत जोर से ये इस पे कोई काम नहीं हो रहा है. देन नेशनल स्किल क्वालिफिकेशन फ्रेमवर्क होगा जो कि डिटेल्ड क्वालिफिकेशन हर एक स्किल, हर एक वोकेशन, हर एक प्रोफेशन की देगी. फर्दर इसकी स्टैंडर्ड क्लासिफिकेशन की जाएगी, इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड से मैच किया जाएगा. और चूंकि ये लेबर सेंसिटिव मार्केट होगा, इसके लिए ऑक्यूपेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स व्हिच आर मैंडेटेड बाय इंटरनेशनल लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस will be put in place. The framework will also provide the basis for recognition of prior learning, what he has learned in school, what he has learned in college, what if he is a dropout, what he has learned in his school level, ताकि जो कि उनके जो क्रेडिट होंगे, जो उनके स्किल जो सीखे होंगे, जो उनने क्रेडिट एक्वायर किए होंगे, वो दूसरे कोर्स में चल के उनको they can be used in other courses. सो हमने ये देख लिया है. एनईपी ने भी डिमांड सप्लाई की बात की है, इन्होंने भी नेशनल स्किल क्वालिफिकेशन फ्रेमवर्क की बात की है, प्रॉपर असेसमेंट ऑफ लर्निंग की बात की है जो हमने डिस्कस किया, अलाइनिंग वोकेशनल ऑक्यूपेशनल विद इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स, लेबर स्टैंडर्ड्स और इंडस्ट्री स्टैंडर्ड्स की, और इसमें इंक्लूजन ऑफ एनजीओ, सिविल सोसाइटी और इंडस्ट्री का इंक्लूजन भी इन्होंने देखा है. और डिमांड साइड पे मेन स्ट्रीम में एजुकेशन होना चाहिए जिससे डिग्निटी ऑफ लेबर बढ़े, और इससे एक बैलेंस्ड व्यू ऑफ एजुकेशन रहेगी, अलग सिलोज नहीं बनेंगे, और एक नए तरीके से इंक्लूसिव, इंटरपोरेबल, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी एंड आउटकम बेस्ड, जिसको कि हम टेस्ट करते हैं, जिनके स्किल्स को वो करें, और ये एनईपी ने प्रोविजन रखे. अब ये 21st सेंचुरी का हम बहुत गाना गाते हैं. अब इस 21st सेंचुरी में कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, स्किल बिल्डिंग कैसे हो, ये भी इन्होंने कहा है. A holistic and multidisciplinary education will develop help-rounded individual and possess critical 21st century capacities. 21st century capacities in terms of creative thinking, in terms of communicative skills, in terms of critical thinking, in terms of communication skills, in terms of collaborative skills. If we make it a mainstream of education, if we infuse it in with academic courses, it will help us to develop all these things. School internship for skill appreciation and craft centered learning. So internship की बात मैंने की है, internship models की बात हो रही है. different models हो सकते हैं. एक मैंने यहाँ बताया कि जहाँ एक skilled master से एक जो कि जिसके पास उतना स्किल नहीं है देख सकता है, और जो लर्निंग होगी और जो एजुकेशन होगी, इट विल बी क्राफ्ट सेंट्रिक. हमने टीचर सेंट्रिक एजुकेशन की बात की है, स्टूडेंट सेंट्रिक एजुकेशन की बात. The focus in vocational education has to be on a particular vocation, particular skill, particular craft. The particular craft should become the basis of pedagogy, the basis of transaction in classroom learning situation, the basis of employment generation, the basis for employment revenue. So we are now here with vocational education. We are now moving here from student-centered education to craft-centric education. Now we require teachers for having such an expertise for this craft, so we need to have professional development of teachers also. So for that we require प्रोफेशनली कॉम्पिटेंट टीचर. सो मैंने अभी कहा कि अभी भी क्लियर नहीं है कि अगर पोर्टरी या किसी और की क्लास लेनी हो कि उसकी मोडालिटी क्या रही, क्या पोर्टर क्लास में आ जाएगा और उसको क्या पेरेंट्स अलाउ, क्योंकि आजकल तो पेरेंट्स भी बहुत करते हैं, या स्कूल अथॉरिटीज आने देगी, या हम क्लास को उसके पास ले जाएंगे, which is very risky these days. So we have not still come with our modalities. Integration of vocational education with academic learning that we have done. Job market with multiple entry and exit. NEP भी कहता है कि हमारी एजुकेशन में, जो कि प्योरली एकेडमिक एजुकेशन है, मल्टीपल एंट्री एंड एग्जिट, सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स है, डिप्लोमा कोर्स है, डिग्री कोर्स, डिग्री प्लस रिसर्च कोर्स एंड पीजी कोर्स, जो कि हम NEP बात कर रही है. सो वैसे ही यहाँ भी होना चाहिए वोकेशनल एजुकेशन के साथ जॉब मार्केट ओरिएंटेशन. सो नॉट ओनली कोर्सेज, we should have placement opportunities, we should have job market analysis, we should know what are the demands of a job market. उसके लिए हमें तैयार करना है. और जो उन्होंने पहले कहीं सीखा होगा, मे बी क्योंकि ये प्री प्राइमरी से वोकेशनल एजुकेशन की बात कर रहा है, जो ड्रॉप आउट्स हैं, जो दोज हु आर गोइंग अप द एकेडमिक लेडर, जो उनकी प्रायर लर्निंग होगी, उनको भी अगर वो इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स के साथ अलाइन नहीं की होगी, उनको भी अलाइन करना है. एंड देयर शुड बी एन एलिमेंट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी for student entrepreneurship. So technology, क्योंकि technology के what are the advantages, उससे उनको भी करना होगा. So this is what we have discussed here. It's in the form of a chart. This is all I have discussed. I've tried to make, I'm not very good in making presentations, but I have tried to do this in a very crystallized form. Whatever we have deliberated on, I have. Then NEP's goal regarding, so what is the NEP? मैंने कहा कि NEP का एक गोल है, उसने ले डाउन ट्रैक किया, उसने एजेंसीज खड़ी की हैं. सो क्या है? By 2025, at least 50% of the learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to vocational education, making them learn at least one vocation, exposing them to several more integrated vocational education into all schools of higher education industry. So it starts from very first day in the school. और 25 तक, 22 तो हम पहुंच गए हैं, मुझे नहीं लगता 25 तक हो पाएगा, मुझे लगता है ये 30 तक भी नहीं हो पाएगा. बट दे हैड सेट ए गोल, सो वी कैन रिफ्लेक्ट. एज मैंने कहा, वी आर एट दिस जंक्चर, जब हमारे पास NEP आई है, एंड वी कैन रिफ्लेक्ट व्हाट वी हैव अचीव्ड एंड व्हाट वी हैव नॉट अचीव्ड. अब अभी हमने डेटा, कहीं डेटा मिलता ही नहीं है. 50% तो सवाल ही नहीं है, 2% को तो जॉब में मिलता है, या 18 इसमें 5% तो अर्बन सेटिंग्स में मिलता है, 50% का तो सवाल ही नहीं है. सो वी हैव टू वर्क अ लॉट. Importantly, NEP also encourages different models of vocational education in school, so that locally relevant skill education can be offered in an appropriate manner. The emphasis is on local skills, local education. So what should be the pedagogy? So how can we develop this? We can develop this, I will be brief because the time is running out. Practicum based curriculum, हमें skill gap का analysis करना है, not only through conventional modes of education, open distance learning से. Exposure to vocational education, लोक विद्या जो हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था, वो अपनी विद्या को डेवलप करना है, एक्सेसिबल बनाना है. इंडिक लिटरेचर, इंडिक वोकेशन, इंडिक क्राफ्ट्स, इंडिक आर्टिजन्स, उनको लाके वो करना है. हमें स्किल फ्रेमवर्क बनाना है, और हमें वोकेशनल क्राफ्ट की इंटर्नशिप अपॉर्चुनिटीज फ्रॉम ग्रेड टू 6 to 8 अंडर मास्टर क्राफ्ट्समैन देनी है, जो कि इनको एज इंटर्न्स ले और वहां से वो स्किल सीख ले. So now we are into this at the cusp of fourth industrial revolution. हमें कौन से, एक तो नेशनल, ये तो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के ये रिकमेंडेशन, लेकिन थर्ड हमने अभी क्रॉस नहीं किया है इंडिया में, लेकिन फोर्थ की तरफ जा रहे हैं. अब फिफ्थ इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन की बहुत से लोग बात कर रहे हैं. तो हमें कौन सी स्किल्स इन एडिशन टू NEP सजेस्ट करती है, हमें क्या करना है, क्योंकि हमें फ्यूचर रेडी सिटीजन बनाने हैं, हमें डिजिटलाइज्ड एज की तरफ चलना है, हमें डिजिटलाइज्ड सोसाइटी बनना है, डिजिटली लिटरेट बनना है. तो सो व्हाट आर द स्किल्स that we should focus upon as vocational skills? So ये जो अभी हमने देखा, ये जो repetitive jobs है ना, सारे खत्म हो जाए, मशीन सबको ले ले, झाड़ू, डायसन, रोबोट्स. अब तो मेड्स का भी वो नहीं रहेगा, आपने रोबोट लगाया, खाना बनाना. सो everything is mechanized. Not these small household chores, many mechanical things, repetitive jobs जो करती हैं, गाड़ियों की assembly वो मैकेनाइज, वो तो लॉन्ग बैक हो गई थी, वो तो फर्स्ट जब फोर्ड ने इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन की बात की थी वो मैकेनाइज था, तब का असेंबली ऑफ द कार्स, दैट वाज द फर्स्ट स्टेप टुवर्ड्स असेंबली लाइन, जहां की हमने मैकेनाइजेशन देखी थी। अब ये मैकेनाइजेशन नहीं है, ये डिजिटलाइजेशन है। तो हमें कहाँ किन एरियाज पे यूज करना, फोकस करना चाहिए, लाइक कंप्यूटर्स, डाटा, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, आजकल डिजाइन थिंकिंग की बहुत बात होती है, बिग डेटा की बात होती है, डेटा चोरी की बात होती है, हैकर्स की बात होती है, वो भी तो हमने प्रोड्यूस करने। सो नॉट ओनली द लोकल स्किल बट द फोर्थ जनरेशन स्किल, फोर्थ इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन डिमांड्स ट्रेनिंग शुड इंक्लूड स्किल्स सच, और ये कैसे होगा जब हमारे करिकुलम में क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग होगी, क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग होगी, अडेप्टेबिलिटी होगी, विलिंगनेस टू टेक रिस्क होंगी। जिसने पहले डेटा हैक किया होगा उसने बहुत कुछ रिस्क किया होगा, अपनी रेपुटेशन रिस्क पे डाली होगी सबसे पहले जब पता चला होगा, isn't it? अब जो डाटा माइनिंग, डाटा चोरी की बात करते हैं, अगेन this is a part of their profession but they are doing it, so we have to, मैं ये नहीं कहती हूँ unethical, don't misunderstand me, ethical standards रख के, integrity रख के, अपना ethics and morality रख के हमें इन चीजों को देना होगा। So areas of vocational education besides computer क्या है, internet of things, machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics, 21st century skills and digital skills, और इसके अलावा SGD goals and all that, renewable energy, power, tourism, electronics, green construction, green logistics, green agriculture, sustain, यूपी में आके green agriculture सिखाओ ना, करिकुलम में डालो ना, क्यों नहीं, वो तो आप फिर अपने पेरेंट्स को दिखाएगा। टेलीकॉम, डिस्पोजेबल प्लास्टिक जो कि आजकल हैजार्ड बन रहा है, केमिकल्स, दिस शुड बी सस्टेनेबल गोल को हमें अचीव करना है। अगर हम करिकुलम में अभी से नहीं डालेंगे तो कब डालेंगे? फ्यूचर स्किल्स क्या होंगे जो बात, क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग, कोडिंग थ्रू गेमिफिकेशन जो कि बहुत अभी है, स्कूल्स और क्लासरूम्स में भी आया है, एडिटिव मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, टेलीमैटिक्स, इसमें से बहुत कुछ मुझे नहीं पता है, ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी, 3D पेंटिंग, ऑगमेंटेड रियलिटी, वर्चुअल रियलिटी, इलेक्ट्रिक एंड लो वोल्ट। सो दीज विल बी द फ्यूचर स्किल्स जो कि हमें फ्यूचर इकोनॉमी, फ्यूचर वोकेशन, फ्यूचर जॉब्स के लिए प्रिपेयर करेंगे। अब यूजीसी ने भी कुछ हायर एजुकेशन के लिए रिकमेंडेशन दी है, यूजीसी ने गाइडलाइंस इशू की है फॉर integrating skills into the main stream educational। उन्होंने ये Alliance of Skill Training Partners, ASTP, Alliance of Skill Training Partners की बात की है, जहाँ की वो डिजाइन करेंगे स्किल्स को, इंटीग्रेट करेंगे स्किल्स को और मेन स्ट्रीम एजुकेशन, हायर एजुकेशन में लेके आएंगे, और उसके लिए उनको वोकेशनल फैसिलिटेटर्स चाहिए, vocational they need teachers for that, and this ASTP can facilitate collaboration of members of universities, of affiliated colleges and partners. Then it will become a sort of a learning community. What is AS? It is alliance of skilling training partners। जैसे आज हम एक कम्युनिटी की तरह इकट्ठे हुए हैं, वैसे ही अगर ये स्किल बेस्ड कम्युनिटीज बनती है जहां वो एक दूसरे को फैसिलिटेट करेंगे इन लर्निंग सर्टेन स्किल्स, इन लर्निंग फ्यूचर स्किल्स, करंट स्किल्स, ओल्ड स्किल्स, they can do that। and this third party agency भी इसमें apprenticeship दे सकती है, internship दे सकती है। So these are some of oh sorry, I have not moved my slides। So these were some of the slides जो आप देख सकते हो। एंड अब ये क्या कर रहे हैं, जो सब स्किल्स की बात की है, अप्रेंटिसशिप एक्ट को मॉडिफाई किया है, इसको टू इंटेंसिव एम्प्लॉयर्स टू टेक मोर अप्रेंटिस। जो मैंने पहले ही बात की, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन थ्योरी से नहीं सीखा जाएगा, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन लेक्चर सुनने से नहीं सीखा जाएगा, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन अप्रेंटिसशिप से इम्यूलेट करने से, ऑब्जर्व करने से, हैंड्स ऑन से सीखा जाएगा. सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द इनिशिएटिव. मौलाना आजाद नेशनल एकेडमी टू एड्रेस स्किल डेवलपमेंट, इनको ये कार्यभार दिया गया है. स्किल एनहांसमेंट असेसमेंट मैट्रिक्स फॉर वोकेशनल एडवांसमेंट ऑफ यूथ. मैंने कहा हम स्किल्स को कैसे असेस करते हैं एज थ्योरेटिकल कोर्स, एज एनी अदर थ्योरेटिकल कोर्स. उन स्किल्स को हम एनी अदर थ्योरेटिकल कोर्स के साथ नहीं असेस कर सकते हैं. सो अगेन एक मैट्रिक्स बनेगा, एक रूब्रिक्स बनेगा जिसपे हम स्किल्स को ये असेस कर सकते हैं, इवैल्यूएट कर सकते हैं. एंड स्किल लोन स्कीम्स दी जाएंगी टू द यूथ फॉर इंसेंटिवाइजिंग स्किल. सो स्किल इंडिया मिशन के अंदर जो कि हमने देखा, जो कि 2015 में डेवलप किया था, उन्होंने नेशनल स्किल डेवलपमेंट मिशन की बात की है, नेशनल पॉलिसी फॉर स्किल डेवलपमेंट एंड एंटरप्रेन्योर्स की बात की है, प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास की बात की है, स्किल लोन स्कीम. ये तो इनिशिएटिव हैं जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने लिए हैं. और देयर आर मेनी प्रोविजंस इन टेक्निकल एजुकेशन जहाँ से कि अपस्किलिंग हो, रीस्किलिंग हो, इंटर्नशिप हो, डिजिटल स्किलिंग का इनिशिएटिव लिया जाए, सो दैट इंडिया बिकम्स ए हब ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी कैपिटल. आप सिलिकॉन वैली में जाओ, वहां आपको दूसरा आंध्रा या दूसरा कैलिफोर्निया में जाओ, आपको वो एक इंडियन स्टेट लगेगी. क्यों? क्योंकि सिलिकॉन वैली के लिए काम कौन करता है? हमारे ही इंडियंस काम करते हैं. लेकिन हमें अपने इंडिया में उनको, हमारे पास क्योंकि बिकॉज ऑफ मनी एंड ऑल अदर थिंग्स दे आर बीइंग वेल पेड, तो हम उनको रिटेन नहीं कर पाते हैं. तो दैट इज अनदर इशू. सो इन्होंने कहा है कि AICT will initiate a campaign called Technology for Every Indian Student, which will aim to evaluate, train, practice, internship, परफॉर्म, सर्टिफाई एंड एम्प्लॉय. AICT की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अब सिर्फ पढ़ाने की नहीं बनती है, उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इस प्रोविजन से एम्प्लॉयमेंट की भी बनती है. These are the sample courses in higher education that are provided by AICT. ये मैंने उनकी वेबसाइट पे दिया है. देखिए यहाँ फूड प्रोसेसिंग का है, ग्राफिक्स मल्टीमीडिया का है, बैंकिंग है, प्रोडक्शन टेक्नोलॉजी है, बी वॉक है, कई कोर्सेज हैं. लेकिन अभी तक इन्होंने जो ये क्राफ्ट सेंट्रिक वोकेशनल कोर्सेज की बात की है, क्योंकि AICT टेक्निकल है, लेकिन हम टेक्निकल कोर्सेज में भी क्राफ्ट सेंट्रिक कोर्सेज डाल सकते हैं. अभी बात में अब यूनेस्को की रिपोर्ट है जो कि एजुकेशन के बारे में क्या कहती है. प्लेस लर्नर्स एंड देयर एस्पिरेशन एट द सेंटर ऑफ वोकेशनल एजुकेशन. सो हमें स्टूडेंट्स में ये वोकेशनल एजुकेशन का कीड़ा डालना है, so that they will take it up as an academic. क्योंकि जब डिफ्यूज्ड ही नहीं करिकुलम होगा, जब सेगमेंटेशन नहीं होगी, जब साइलोज नहीं होगा, फिर एकेडमिक और वोकेशन क्वालिफिकेशन में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. और उन्होंने भी यही रिकमेंडेशन दी है, प्लेस लर्नर्स एंड देयर एस्पिरेशन ऑफ सेंटर ऑफ वोकेशन. जो कोई स्टूडेंट थ्रो आउट करना चाहता है, कोई भी स्किल, कोई भी वोकेशन, कोई भी अपस्किलिंग, अपग्रेडिंग, रीस्किलिंग, वो कर. क्रिएट एन अप्रोप्रिएट इकोसिस्टम फॉर टीचर्स, ट्रेनर्स एंड असेसर्स. ये तो करना है. ये तो हम वी आर सो मच लैगिंग बिहाइंड दैट वी हैव टू डू इट. फोकस ऑन अपस्किलिंग, रीस्किलिंग एंड लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग. एक बार आपने सिखाया, दूसरी बार, तीसरी बार उसको खुद अपने अपग्रेडेशन करना है, स्किल्स का रीस्किल करना है, अपग्रेड करना है. एंड as such you will become a lifelong learner. Ensure inclusive access to TVT for women, differently able person and disadvantaged. So इस vocational education को एक inclusive education के तौर से, एक comprehensive education के तौर से, एक integrated education के तौर से लेना है. Massively expand digital opportunities, support for local communities, align for 2030 sustainable goals. मैं थोड़ा सा फास्ट हो रही हूँ. इनोवेटिव मॉडल ऑफ फाइनेंसिंग टीवीटी, जो अभी हम फाइनेंस की बात कर रहे हैं कि इट्स बिकम डिफिकल्ट, सो यूनेस्को हैज रियलाइज्ड, और वो उन्होंने कहा है कि ये आपको मॉडल्स देखने, एक्सपैंड एविडेंस बेस्ड रिसर्च। वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को मेन स्ट्रीम में लाने से क्या होगा, इनका जो ये होगा, इट विल बिकम अनदर एकेडमिक कोर्स, दो इट विल बी a vocational course which the students can pursue in their graduation, higher in post graduation and even in research. So it becomes a research sensitive course, research intensive course, और वो फिर evidence based research बनेगी. So we have to better plan it, promote it through evidence and research, and establish a robust coordinating mechanism for interministerial cooperation. यूनेस्को को भी पता चला कि यह वोकेशनल एजुकेशन किसी की नहीं है, कभी मिनिस्टर ऑफ एजुकेशन की भी है, कहीं स्किलिंग की भी है, कहीं किसी की भी है, फुटबॉल की तरह इधर उधर घूमती रहती है. सो एक प्रॉपर कोऑर्डिनेटिंग मैकेनिज्म हो जाए, so that we can have properly an effective vocational education. I'll be skipping one slide क्योंकि मुझे पता है बसेस वगैरह सबकी जाती हैं, so मैं एक स्लाइड स्किप करूंगी और मैं अब conclusion हम सबको पता है. So if we have challenges, we have to overcome. We have challenges of pedagogy, challenges of teachers, challenges of curriculum, challenges of labs, but we have to overcome these challenges. How? By these government schemes, by private public partnership, by creating pathways, including NGOs, including society, including non-government organization, so that these challenges are minimized, reduced, skill gap is reduced, and these academic boundaries are blurred, and we come out with a better version of vocational education. That is all for my side, and though it was very theoretical, but this is all from my side. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Arti ma'am, for sharing your views on such an important topic. Really, it was very informative session. Due to shortage of time, we will not be able to take up any questions now. Now I would like to invite Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Secretary General, Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Delhi NCR chapter, to speak a few words.
रजनी ये शेयरिंग हटाओगी जरा, पिक्स आपके ना फिर वो बहुत छोटे. आरती मैम ये शेयरिंग, यस. मैं आरती मैम का जो लेक्चर है आज 23 इयर्स के बाद बैठ के पूरा सुना मैंने कंप्लीट, और मैं देख रहा था जितनी स्ट्रॉन्ग कम्युनिकेटर रियल लाइफ एग्जांपल्स के साथ मैं लिख रहा था. मैं एक्चुअल में 23 इयर्स बैक भी जा रहा था और आज भी मैम को सुनता जा रहा था. रियल लाइफ एग्जांपल्स, फैक्ट बेस्ड प्रेजेंटेशंस, और एक और बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है मैम का जो शायद ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंटेशन में पता नहीं चलता, वो सेंसिटिव वाला पार्ट. जब उनके स्टूडेंट्स उनको स्कोर नहीं करते और वैसा नहीं अंडरस्टैंड करते जैसा मैम बता रही हैं, तो फिर वो बहुत ज्यादा खुद में फिक्र करती थी उस चीज को लेकर. तो ये चीज बहुत अच्छी थी. और इसके अलावा जो आप लोग कहते हैं ना कि स्टूडेंट और टीचर का जो रिलेशनशिप कहीं मिसिंग है, तो मुझे 23 इयर्स तो हो गए मैम के साथ, और ये एक लाइफ लॉन्ग रिलेशनशिप.
Dr. Sanjay is a colleague, so I see him as a colleague with no other prism but from the prism of a colleague. So आप इसको यहीं खत्म कर दीजिए.
ओके मैम. इसके अलावा जो आज मैम ने वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को एड्रेस किया, ऑलमोस्ट सारी बातें, जैसे कि मार्केट एनालिसिस की बात की, डिमांड और सप्लाई बिग इशू, डेफिनेटली बिग इशू, जिसकी वजह से कहते हैं ना इकोनॉमिक्स की जो पावरफुल फोर्सेस हैं, अगर उनको कंट्रोल नहीं करेंगे तो बहुत कुछ गड़बड़ होता है, गैप्स आते हैं. तो वो हम अपनी एजुकेशन पॉलिसीज को जब ग्राउंड लेवल पे देखते हैं तो वो सारी चीजें. चाइल्ड लेबर को लेकर भी मैम ने काफी कुछ एड्रेस किया, लेकिन थोड़ा सा जो टीवी आर्टिस्ट और वो सब है उसको लेकर लॉ थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट हो जाते हैं. आई डोंट नो व्हाई, क्योंकि मैंने कुछ बच्चों को जो उस तरह के उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं उनको बड़ा क्लोज से देखा, और सिर्फ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस का अंतर है, अदरवाइज वो भी बहुत सारी चीजें बर्दाश्त करते हैं उस तरह के, जब उस तरह की चीजों में. और चीजें सेंट्रलाइज बहुत ज्यादा होती जा रही है. माइंडसेट की भी मैम ने बात की, और मैम एक और चीज कहूंगा कि वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को डिजिटल वोकेशनल एजुकेशन कर देना चाहिए। वैसे भी बहुत सारी जॉब्स 10 to 15 ईयर।
स्लाइड में मैंने 3 स्लाइड रखे थे आपके वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को डिजिटलाइज करने के लिए।
क्योंकि उसमें क्या है ना कि एवरी 15 और 10 ईयर्स में काफी सारी जॉब्स गायब हो रही हैं, न्यू जॉब्स कहीं ना कहीं इमर्ज होके आ जाती है। बाकी ओवरऑल मैम फैंटास्टिक, वंडरफुल, जैसा आप 23 ईयर्स बैक थे आज भी बिल्कुल वैसा ही बोलते हैं। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. Now, with great pleasure, I would like to invite Dr. Tanya Gupta ma'am, convener of this FDP and Dean of School of Education, to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rajni. Gratitude, Professor Kachroo ma'am. I'm hearing you for the second time today. Earlier, we had an association somewhere else where I heard you. Topic was very different. You did full justice to the topic the other day, and today you have done. You've brought out realities of vocational. You know, it's बहुत सरल होता है कि एक पॉलिसी के पॉइंट बाय पॉइंट को उसको पढ़ के पार्टिसिपेंट्स के सामने ना, बट उसके challenges क्या हैं. You know, you brought that out. So. I've intently learned from your session, ma'am. I say this every day to the guest who is there, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You're a fantastic orator and a fantastic analyst. You've actually brought out the challenges of, you know, this 50%, how it is going to happen. In fact, the NEP has very ambitious goals to meet. How it is going to happen is something we will see ourselves over the period of time. सिर्फ इतना ही है मैम कि वोकेशनलाइजेशन एजुकेशन का होना कहीं ना कहीं हमारी गांधी जी की नई तालीम से भी जुड़ा हुआ है, जो आपने बताया, जो 3H हैं, एंड सेल्फ रिलायंट भारत की कल्पना भी जो हम कर रहे हैं. तो schemes and policies have come. This is another policy before us. Let's see how it operationalizes, because there are still a lot of gross challenges in having a mainstream enrollment. Let's see how the vocational enrollment happens. And but हाँ, एक चीज है कि इस इतने बड़े मिशन को fulfill करने के लिए, where we want to take, you know, the GER also. Everybody can't be into mainstream education because we do have a lot of dropouts. You do agree with that. And everybody cannot afford or does not want to take higher education. So let it not be something force ki degree karni hi karni hai. It's perfectly okay. Isse self-reliance aayega. And I hope our society accepts people with vocational education. You know, that is a stigma and that's a stereotype. So ये अगर handle हो पाए as a society, let's see how many of us will accept our students into the leather industry or the jewelry industry, or let's even not talk of jewelry industry, but even small time work. And as I always, you know, I have a special corner where I always mention in a session, this is going to give a lot of thrust to the Divyang children also as well also. So it's going to work well for them also. But yes, how it ends the hunger, the poverty, the unemployment, the dropout, the GR, or whatever we call, time will unfold. Hopefully the policy works well, ma'am. Thank you so much. Gratitude, ma'am, on behalf of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of our University, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, School of Education, and CTEF Delhi NCR chapter. It has been homecoming and I have thoroughly enjoyed hearing you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No doubt there are challenges, but at least there is a vision and there is a team that ensures that the vision is implemented, maybe not to a greater extent, but to some degrees it's implemented. It's a road that everybody has to tread.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll also like to thank Dr. Sanjay sir. Thank you for being with us and for your views that you have put forth after ma'am's address. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot.
And overall gratitude to our young ladies who are carrying this mission forward, Dr. Rajni Gautam, Dr. Pooja Verma, Ms. Deepika, and not to forget, we could not have gone virtual without Mr. Dharamveer Bhatia. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good day to all the participants.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Arti, ma'am. Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thank you all the participants for joining us today. We come to the end of this session. An important announcement for the participants. Tomorrow we'll be having 2 sessions. Session 7 at 11 a.m. and valedictory session at 2 p.m. Links I have already shared in the chat box, and we'll be sharing those links on the WhatsApp group also. So looking forward to meet you all tomorrow. Bye. Have a good day.